Hello, everyone, and welcome to our channel. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling so excited about today's topic. And Listra, how are you feeling today?
I'm so grateful, Constantly, for everything.
Thank you. Thank you. That's good. And I hope everyone who is watching from home or outside your home, you are feeling great today. So, in today's topic, we're going to touch last in our last video. I did promise that we're going to discuss more about trauma and how we can manage trauma. But before we could do that, in today's topic, we decided to talk about, actually, before we can think about how to manage trauma, we decided to talk about the fear, the trauma and the fear. So, Ristra, I want you to go much in details by telling us what could be trauma and fear. How are those two related? And then we can take it from there.
Right, Constantly.
Thank you.
Trauma, from my experience, trauma could lead to fear, as well as fear could lead to more trauma. So when I say that, I mean that, okay, for example, I used to have sleep paralysis, which I believe is more spiritual trauma. And that sleep paralysis, if anybody else has sleep paralysis, you know that it's like you sleeping and somebody, well, you may not even be asleep yet, but it's where you're being suffocated and you can't call anybody, even if the person is near to you, they can't hear you, you can't call for help, you can't touch anybody to say help me, no words coming out. So it can be quite traumatic. And what I believe that is because of fear. You see, the thing is, I was a Christian, and I do not bash Christianity or any form of religion, because I know that religions are close to people's heart. However, this religion taught me that about hell. If you do bad, you go to hell, and there's a lot of things which probably must have formed some kind of idea in my head, because because nobody could be good. How do you know if you're good or bad? If you know, how do you know if you go to hell? How do you know if you'll be punished? So then this sleep paralysis used to harass me from since I was a teenager until age about 20, 21. And I was in nursing college then at that age, 2021, and I was staying in the hostel, the nurses' hostel. And I remember it was so, I hardly lie down when the sleep paralysis overtook me. However, what scared me on that occasion, what made me more fearful, was that I saw the shadow of a hand come and take a pillow and put it over my head and to suffocate me. And what I did, I said, well, today is either your fear or my fear. I'm not going to fight. If you want to suffocate me, you go ahead and suffocate me. So what I did was let the entity suffocate me. And from that day, I have not experienced any more sleep paralysis, because
Very interesting.
I think what I did is that I let my fear turn to resilience. So I was no longer fearful. I remember also what caused me trauma is the fear of heights. I had like chronic fear of heights. When I was in Form 1, that is secondary school, my Form 1 was on the ground floor. I never went up on the first floor, the second floor, because I always felt like if I'd fall over. So when I went up to, when I was promoted as form two, that's when I went up on the first floor. And I walked towards from at the wall. I never went to the rail. I always walked closer to the wall, holding on to the wall. Then I gradually, over the period of a year, yes, a year, I gradually went to the middle of the corridor. Then I went over the rail and to hold the rail and stood up. It was terrifying. Then when I went to form two, it was the same. I went up to the second floor and held onto the wall. Gradually went to the middle and then went to the rail. And that's how I overcame my fear of heights, by actually actually facing my fears. The third scenario was fear of stage fright. Oh my gosh. I was so afraid of going on stage. Just, I like the stage. Told one day I had to say a poem. I memorized that poem, memorized it like nothing. Then the day reached for me to go and say the poem. The church was full of people. At the time it was in church. So when I got to the stage, everything went blank. Fear overtook me.
I can imagine.
And I couldn't remember anything.
Definitely. You're not going to remember.
What helped is that I heard my pastor's wife in the back saying, go ahead, go ahead. In the faintness of the everything that's going on in my mind. And then eventually the darkness just cleared. And then I was able to remember the poem and said it out fully. So and from then on, I went on the stage. I went singing, went drama, went preaching, everything possible on the stage. Because
Now
I
someone is just
never ever wanted that to happen again. So I lost my stage fright. I lost my fear of height. I lost sleep paralysis. This happened over a period of years. But today I'm more resilient than I was then, because as a child I grew up very shy, quite fearful of everything. And I think that contributed to my fear of everything common. So what I'm gonna encourage people is that if you fear anything, one of the best ways to deal with it is to go into your fear. It is tougher to do than to say. But if you're able to face your fears, then I can guarantee that you will be a stronger person at the end of it.
Yeah, because Lisra, for me, honestly, hearing what you say, sometimes people think like overcoming something is something very, like, especially if you have been dealing with something for years and years and years, like you've been fearful of this and you had it for maybe 10, 20 years, and you're so fearful of it. You feel like it's something that will never ever go away from you. And you feel like it's something very huge. Don't get me wrong, I'm not underestimating how you feel, but I just want to let you know that it takes only more than a second to develop a fear. And once that fear is in you about that particular thing, and then the more you keep saying these things, you keep developing a fear, and the fear will just be with you. The fear, which means you are feeding it. You become overcautious about it. There is even at some point where you will be just seated and you expected that fear to come because it has now become part of your life. It's like people have a phobia of something. Is a similar way. So I don't even know that if I have to talk much about this, but the only thing, I think you mentioned something that everyone should take with them is that the only way to overcome fear, to overcome trauma, because that trauma, it brings the fear in you. So for you to get away from that fear, which means you're getting away from the trauma at the same time, is just to go back and think about what is actually traumatizing you right now. As again, as we said, there are so many types of trauma. Some of them we have already spoken about them in our previous videos, and we're still talking more about this type of trauma. And mostly trauma is, there is nothing else trauma brings to you apart from fear. Because let's say I've gone through one particular experience, and I now see myself like there is no any other escape. This is me, this is my life. That's it. Maybe I don't have no leg, maybe I don't have no arm. That's it. My life is just like that. Doomed. There's nothing else I can do. Unless you just remove that kind of thinking away from you. I know that has happened, but can you just give yourself a moment? Can you give yourself a chance? I remember where you said that you used to be afraid of heights and you couldn't even use the lift or go to second floor. You will be holding the wall. I could see you walking with your friend, visiting a mall, and your friend will be going upstairs, and this is just watching them. Okay, you go, you find me down here. I could see how much you are missing out. I could definitely see how much you are missing out. So it's one of those things that where you can even ask somebody, hold my hands, let's go together, so that you don't feel on your own. You can ask two people, hold this hand, hold that one, and then we just go. I think, Elisa, you've said everything. If you have developed a fear of something, and this fear is preventing your life to move forward, and you are still holding on that kind of fear, I think it's the time to break it. Because the fear, it makes you feel like there is no any other life. You don't move forward. You just keep living in the fear. You are unable to try different things that you should be trying. So I think it's a time for you to break this chain and just say this, it's end. You had enough. You're done with it. And then, you catch up with your life. Lisa, do you have anything to add?
Yes. So fear makes us vulnerable to the things around us. So in order to decrease the vulnerability, we need to remove the fears from our lives. And
Thank you everyone for watching. As we said in today's video, we have been exploring what fear and the trauma can do in our lives. And so if you want to watch more, please do subscribe, because in our next video, we're exploring more different ways we can deal with the trauma, and also how we can help ourselves to overcome trauma. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.
thank you.
Thank you.